Hey, what's going on YouTube family? This is your man Pristine back with another video. Welcome to the dedicated camera video for the Red Hydrogen 1. Now before I roll the tape here, I just wanted to share something with you guys that I thought was a pretty interesting discovery. Alright, so let's get right to it. Now, throughout the course of this video, as the video samples that I took are playing, you are going to hear me make countless references to the fact that this phone does not, and I repeat, does not have optical image or electronic image stabilization. There's been lots of reviews that I have seen from other people that have done videos on this, and they, voiced their displeasure for the fact that this phone has a lack of OIS and EIS. And I've also read a lot of written reviews, and seen with my own two eyes. I mean, just the level of frustration that people have for this device not having optical or electronic image stabilization. But as I've played around with this device a little further, I found something that just may help remedy that. So if you go into the camera app here, and this is the video that I did displaying the rear cameras, right? I'm at the park. I always start the video off in my car. I get out of the car and just kind of walk around a little bit, talk a little bit about the camera, and then I close the video. Well, the back button right there, there's a settings key that's right above that. When you hit that settings key, then it gives you the option to either stabilize the video or rotate the video. And I found it to be very interesting because there are other devices that also have this little icon right there to be able to edit and do things in the aftermath of a photo or video. But I can't say that I recall one giving you the option to stabilize the video. A lot of times it's changing the color temperature. It's adding little filters, you know what I'm saying, or adjusting the light or the darkness, or it's stuff like that. I mean, things that you can edit the video to make, or the image to make it look exactly the way you want it to look. But I can't say that I've ever seen one that gives you the option to stabilize. And so I tested this. There was a quick 20-second video that I did earlier in the house. I was just messing around, and that video was, I was moving around kind of vigorously just to see, okay, how bad is it, if I'm holding the phone tightly with two hands, but I'm still moving around and shaking. And, the video was, a bit jittery, as it would if a phone does not have optical or electronic image stabilization. Well, I hit stabilize. It took a few seconds to do. And I went back and I rewatched the video. And surprisingly, the video was a lot less shaky. Now, because of the fact that I was purposefully moving around vigorously, optical image stabilization or electronic image stabilization doesn't take away movement if the person is moving while recording a subject or whatever they're recording, but rather than it just being like a jittery, vigorous effect, just kind of like how my hand is moving and you having to weather the storm through that watching something, it smooths out those motions to where those movements and those motions are much more graceful and much more easy and appealing to the eye, even if there is movement. And I found that this stabilization feature was able to accomplish that. Now, I'm not sure if it's as good as the phone actually having optical image or electronic image stabilization on board, but the fact that you do have that ability to stabilize a video after you've recorded it is pretty huge. It's to some people that may be a game changer. You know what I mean? Because some people just need a little bit of stabilization. Even in my video this particular video right here, I was making sure that I was holding the phone firmly and I wasn't doing a bunch of vigorous moving around. And so this particular video didn't seem that bad. But even after stabilizing the video, it was that much more crisp. Movements were a lot more graceful, as it would be, pardon me, if it did have optical image stabilization. So that kind of makes me wonder, did Red purposefully leave out optical or electronic image stabilization because of the fact that they implemented a stabilized feature within the camera settings? Things that make us go, That's all I want to share with you, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the video. I'm going to go ahead and roll the tape now. Peace. What's going on, y'all? It's your man Pristine back with another video. Okay, so check this out. So this is the front dual camera system on the red hydrogen one. So on the front of the device here, we have two 8-megapixel sensors. On the rear, we have two 12-megapixel sensors. So this is a quad camera device, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. Now, this phone, in a lot of ways, reminds me of the Essential phone right now. And what I mean by that is just I'm just speaking particularly in the camera department, because when the Essential phone first came out, according to the experts, the camera was trash. It was this, it was that. It was the most horrible thing ever. And I've noticed that a lot of the reviews that I've seen people do on this phone, one of the main things that they've had to talk about, obviously, would be the camera. Obviously, I mean, it's a Red phone. Red being a big time cinematography company. A lot of the movies that you and I watch have been filmed with Red cameras. And so I understand, okay, if Red puts out a device, then for sure the cameras are going to be scrutinized. Now, I'm no camera professional, ladies and gentlemen, by any stretch of the imagination. My understanding is that before the phone got released, that there was a couple of updates that hit the phone to enhance some of the camera features and functions and stability, stuff like that. My understanding is that there is going to be more updates that are going to be coming that are going to also enhance the camera and make things a little bit better. But again, I think it's proof that you should never listen to what people say. Don't take my word for it. Don't take any other video YouTuber's word for it. I mean, these videos are meant to be tools to kind of give you somewhat of an idea of what you're getting into. If whatever the product is that we're talking about is something that you may want to invest in, but to also kind of give you an in-depth look at the phone in its entirety and it being used by someone, how it performs, how the camera performs, and all that kind of thing. It's just to give you a good idea, but there's nothing that's going to be more of a determining factor than you getting the phone in your hand and trying it out for yourself. Right now, from where I sit, this camera is absolutely stunning. I've watched videos from Marquez Brownlee on this device. He had not so good things to say about the camera. Michael Fisher, Mr. Mobile. I mean, and these are some of my top reviewers that I'm subscribed to, you know what I'm saying, that I watch all the time. You know what I mean? So I'm not knocking these guys. I'm not trying to challenge these guys. But I'm saying, I mean, in the world of photography, obviously those guys are way more seasoned than I am. I don't really know too much about photography. Like I said, I can take a picture and I can tell you whether or not it looks good and whether or not it doesn't. You know what I mean? But all the little details and things that, little things that they describe to determine whether or not a camera is good or not, I'm really not all that seasoned in photography like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so it's like, I just put these videos together and let you guys be the judge, and I give you guys my thought processes and opinions of what I'm seeing. But what I'm seeing from this camera is, to me, where I sit, and this may just be me being ignorant, but from where I sit and the images that I've taken with this camera is on point. And like I say that it reminds me of the Essential phone, because when the Essential phone was released, you had all these people talking about how trash the camera was. Oh, there's no way that it's going to get better with software updates. And what happened? Essential, they kept listening. And they kept putting out updates. And the more updates that they put out, the better the camera got, to a point to where the camera was a stellar camera. And it no longer needed any updates. You know what I mean? So I hope that, Red, this being their first go round, obviously, they put this phone out because they want to contend and they want to become a major player in the smartphone game. If they're listening, then these gripes that people are talking about, there'll be some updates that are going to come out for this camera. But ladies and gentlemen, don't get your foot pissed on and told that it's raining. You know what I'm saying? Get the phones in your hand and try them out for yourself. Now, in this particular case, if you can stomach the price, you know what I'm saying? If you can stomach the price for this phone, because this phone in which I'm holding in front of my face costs $1,300. And this is for the 128 gig. If you want the 256 gig, $1,500. I mean, $1,600, $1,595. $1,595, baby, yeah. Red ain't playing, man. And that might be the reason they may not do a damn thing. You know what I'm saying? But hey, I respect it. I respect tech innovation. I love when these new companies try to make a splash in the game to take on the opposition. Man, Red, they got balls, man. You know what I'm saying? And why wouldn't they? They're Red. You guys understand how big Red is? You know what I'm saying? There probably aren't too many movies that you and I have seen that haven't been filmed with Red cameras since Red became a thing back in 1999. 99, people. Before the millennium. It's 2018. Red is huge. You know what I'm saying? They're huge. So, you know, from where I sit, this camera looks damn good. Now, look, let's, I'm in the Infinity. You know what I'm saying, with the limousine tint, with the black leather guts. You know what I'm saying. I mean, making it even darker up in this joint. You know, let me step out of the joint real quick and just see how the cameras adjust to the outside lighting. Come on, man, let's do it. All right. Now, one thing I do got to mention, we do not have optical image stabilization on this phone. Now, that sucks. That's a bummer. You would think that a phone that you just paid all this money for is geared a lot towards cameras. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, this phone is basically being marketed as a cinematography device being disguised as a smartphone. Well, Red, if that's your aim, if that's one of your main selling points, you have to include optical image stabilization, Red. That's just something you got to do. All right? So the fact that it's not here, now that is a problem. And that is where other phones that have been doing it for a minute may one-up you. You got to have optical image stabilization, Red. People don't like shaky videos. You guys are a camera company. You're supposed to notice, Red. You're supposed to notice. But aside from that, just make sure, you know, when you're holding this phone, you hold it steady, 2 hands, ready, steady. You know what I'm saying? Because I was playing around with the video earlier, and oh man, I was just in shock and awe of just how shaky the camera was. It was just ridiculous. And I was under the impression that this phone I couldn't find any sources, but I heard that this phone, if it didn't have optical image stabilization, it did have electronic image stabilization. That's a lie. It doesn't have either one. You know what I mean? So ladies and gentlemen, please be mindful that if you're recording with the Red Hydrogen 1, throw the phone on a gimbal, put it on a tripod. If you have to move, hold it tightly. You know what I'm saying? Just hold it close, like you hold your lady or like you hold your man. You know what I'm talking about? Hold it tight. Because if you're moving around, the shakiness, it's not cool. But look at the backdrop. Look at everything in the background. Look how crystal clear everything is. Look at the color reproduction. Sun is going down a little bit. Fall day. Look at the branches. Look how detailed the branches are. Look at that. You can't tell me that's not beautiful. It's beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys think down in the comments of the front dual 8-megapixel sensor setup on the Red Hydrogen 1. All right, y'all. So here is the rear dual camera system on the Red Hydrogen 1. We have not one, but two 12.3 megapixel sensors here on the rear of the device. So as I mentioned, this device is a quad cam operation. We've got two camera lenses on the back, 2 8-megapixel sensors on the front. Now, one of the things that sucks that Red really tripped up on is the lack of optical image stabilization. And as far as I can tell, there is no electronic image stabilization as well. So this phone being as big and as hefty as it is, I'm going to try to keep a real tight grip on it with 2 hands just to make sure that this video isn't going to be completely shaky. And so if you are recording video with this phone, I mean, if you can keep it on a gimbal, which will keep things, you know, nice and smooth, hopefully, I mean, that probably would be about the best bet. If you don't need to move, maybe keeping the phone on a tripod. But as I just mentioned, if you do need to move, then you want to get both hands on this bad boy and make sure you hold it tight. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get out of the car here and just see how the camera just adjusts to the conditions outside. Again, fall day here in Seattle, Washington, but it is absolutely gorgeous out here. And it's about 60 degrees. I mean, so it's not too cold. You know, it's just right. Temperatures feel good out here. You know what I'm saying? Not too warm, not too cold, nice breeze. What can I say? Now, again, you guys can see my shadow right there. I am holding this phone with 2 hands. As tightly as I possibly can. Now, we do have the ability to take 3D video, and 3D video is really nice, but the thing is, you can't share it. You know what I mean? And so I can catch a 3D video right now for you guys, but then if I try to play it back, it's not, playback is not going to be in 3D. But I mean, it is nice just to have that feature. It's pretty slick. It's pretty dope. Now, as I mentioned, we do not have optical image stabilization on board. So again, I'm cuffing the phone with two hands like it's my lady or my babies. You know what I mean? And I'm walking very gingerly. Now, let me just go ahead and get my stroll on real quick, just like I normally would. Now, you see here, down at the park, down the street from the house. Now, if you look at the overall color reproduction, I'm just going to pan to the right real nice and slow. Look at the color reproduction and just the overall detail. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this camera is beautiful. And so, just to kind of elaborate a little bit more on what I was talking about in the video with the front-facing camera sensors about what the experts are saying about this phone. Again, it just reminds me of the Essential phone with all the scrutiny that camera got, but it was a really good camera. Like when I got the Essential phone out of the box, I never had any problems with the camera at all whatsoever. And then just all the updates that it continued to get, it just made the camera experience better and better and better. And so I can't imagine why things wouldn't be better here on the Red. Now, one thing that we all have to understand is, too, Red is not marketing this device to compete necessarily with the likes of Apple, Samsung. And I know a lot of times this phone is going to get compared to those devices because of the price. Right? Because those phones are also pretty pricey devices. But they've been doing it for a long time. They've been doing it for a while. You know what I mean? So some people feel like, oh, well, they're kind of well within their right, I guess. They've been making phones for a minute. They're using the premium hardware, software, cameras, all that kind of thing. And so they feel like, those prices are warranted. People are just like, hey, this is Red's first go-round. Who the hell do they think they are charging these prices? But again, you guys got to understand that Red is a big-time cinematography company. None of their camera equipment is expensive or is inexpensive. It's all very expensive. And so this phone is basically meant to be just like their camera equipment. And all their cameras are pretty much modular devices. I mean, you basically can build those cameras up how you want to. There's all kind of different modular things and battery packs and things that you can snap on and snap off to enhance the camera experience. Well, the Red Hydrogen one here is meant to be the exact same way, which is why we're getting the mods that are going to be coming out for this device that have the ability to be able to screw on lenses from just about any camera. You know what I mean? And so I think that that's where a lot of the magic is going to happen with this particular device. And so again, this device is basically being marketed for cinematography buffs, content creators like myself, and I think that that's probably why I'm identifying so much with this device. I like it, and I think I'm actually probably going to hang on to it now that I've really been playing with it and going hard. I mean, my main SIM card is in it, and so I'm using it as my daily driver. I mean, Android 8.1 Oreo fresh out of the box, I mean, which we're all used to. And I mean, it has all the Android features and functions that you can that there's been on any other Android device. I mean, so, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, like I said, the experts, I mean, they've had a lot of egregious things to say about this particular camera. But I mean, in my personal experience and usage with this camera, it is off the hook. The camera is off the chain, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, as far as just look at the bark. Look at how detailed the bark is. The big toy here. Step up on the little ledge here. You're just kind of panning down at some of the grass. And just looking at the detail, the color reproduction. Look up in the trees, the branches, the leaves, even the sun shining through there. I mean, just look at how it handles that. I mean, with the sunlight blaring directly on the camera lens. I mean, it's not overexposing colors and the color reproduction from anything else that's in the shot. I mean, it's just beautiful. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, again, I'm not a professional. I'm learning more and more as I get my hands on more of these devices and start to play with more of these cameras. But I mean, this device is supposed to be one of those devices that you can get, team it up with some of the mods, and a lot of the cameras that people are filming with, whether it be videos or short movies and stuff like that, this phone is to be able to do the same things. So say like somebody like myself, once those mods come out, I'll be able to get my hands on that mod and be able to screw in and screw out camera lenses and just take the production of my videos to a whole nother level. it's like having this device. You don't really need to go out and buy a mirrorless camera or anything like that. Now, some may question that depending on who you ask, but I mean that's the overall purpose for this phone, along with whatever other modularity functions that are going to be coming out, as far as the mods that Raid is going to be coming out with for this phone. So, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta say, man, this camera is absolutely amazing, in my personal opinion. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys think about it. All right? Thanks for tuning in. Peace.